Welcome to EFFector from the Electronic Frontier Foundation. You're listening to an audio companion to our email newsletter, keeping you on the cutting edge of digital rights issues. I'm Christian Romero.
And I'm Hudson Hongo. Later, we'll be talking to Cooper Quinton, Senior Staff Technologist at EFF, about a troubling contract between ICE and a notorious phone hacking firm. We'll also let you know about some of the upcoming opportunities to connect with EFF. But first, let's cover this week's top stories with the EFFector News Quiz, which is now an institution, the third time we're doing it.
It's going to live forever now. The scores will keep being tracked.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm sure it'll have like a, J-Archive. That's like the Jeopardy fans like track every single question and response that's ever been aired on Jeopardy.
That's how we know we've made it, if someone does that.
It can be F-Archive. So I had the pleasure of seeing Christian in person. We live in different states. But last week, I was emceeing at the EFF Awards. So we got a rare face-to-face meeting.
Yeah, it was a good time. Got to chat about various Casio watches that we like.
Oh, yeah.
We were both representing. Well, yours was a little more unique than mine. It was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I was rocking a Soviet-made digital watch, which remarkably keeps better time than a modern Casio. It eats through batteries. It will die in a metal detector. It has no shielding, but for the 2 days that it does have batteries, keeps great time. And the EFF awards were great. Really incredible people we got to celebrate that evening.
Yeah, for sure. If you didn't get to catch it live, we have a recording on our YouTube and stuff. But I'm just always amazed at the people that get these awards, because they just get on stage and start speaking, and I'm like, these are incredibly smart people to be seeing. They're so cool.
Fearless, badasses. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I do my little thing, but it was very cool. Okay, so on to this week's news. I think the big announcement last week is that our executive director, Sydney Cohen, she'll be stepping down, which is, I think a bit sad for a lot of us, because she's been an incredible leader. I think she's, very charismatic, obviously has been in the fight. It's going to be sad to see her go.
Yeah, definitely a big part to many of our supporters too. There's a lot of folks, not just staff, that love and know Cindy, but she's continuing the fight. So
that's right. I mean, I think she said in our release, we mentioned that part of it is that she wants to get closer to the ground, and that, I don't know, leading a great organization like this is a very different thing than, being in court. And she's not stepping down immediately, as we both know. It'll be next year, and we're hoping, I think, to hire a new executive director next spring. But I do have some Cindy-related questions for you, Christian, and we'll see how you do. How do you feel about your Cindy trivia?
I honestly feel like I'm gonna nail this. I am gonna be sad the day that I feel really confident and I just miss every question. Yeah. But I think I've got this one.
Okay. What year did Cindy first become involved with EFF?
So I'm pretty sure in her speech about it at the EFF Awards, which you should watch, I think she said she's been with EFF for around 25 years. I want to say 97 or 98.
Great guess. It's 93.
No.
Over 25 years.
Oh, no. I was so confident.
And well, here's the follow-up. So she became involved because she worked on a landmark code is speech case. Do you remember the name of that case?
Oh, I should have totally got the year that she got involved with the EFF, because I know this case. It's the Bernstein case. Bernstein v. Department of Justice, I think. And
that's right.
That's way early. I should have totally got that.
Well, we'll edit it so it sounds like you did. How's that?
Okay, yeah. I gotta stop talking about it right now.
Yeah. All right. Third question, not Cindy related. All right. Also in this week's EFFector, we feature a story we wrote about how organizations like libraries and schools can help safeguard their computers using Privacy Badger, EFF's free open source browser extension that automatically blocks third-party trackers. In our blog, we note that an American Library Association recommends installing Privacy Badger on public computers. What is the name of that American Library Association?
It isn't the organization the American Library Association?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay. It almost tripped me up for a second.
That's what I was hoping. That was the intent.
I really got confused.
Yeah, good. That's the idea. I want people to listen to this podcast feel really confused, like they know less than they did before they listened. So
Before we move on, I've had this conversation with many people. The banner image that is on that blog post, which people should check out, it's got Privacy Badger sitting at a school desk. What do you think about Privacy Badger with legs and arms? Because people seem pretty divided. So I want your opinion.
well, I'm like a big fan of, in general, like badgers, mustelids, mammals of that sort. And I will say that I think a big part of the appeal of a badger is its chunkiness. And the humanoid badger we have is not especially chunky, which I think is okay. It's a little sad.
Yeah, he's one of the like giant head, tiny limbs characters, and I think it's very silly and it makes me laugh. But if I saw a badger in real life that had these proportions, I would not be excited to see it.
I'd be alarmed. I would be a little alarmed. I think,
Get that thing to a hospital.
yeah. Yeah. Good. Well, great. Now we're going to be talking, like I said earlier, to Cooper Quinton. Welcome, Cooper. Thanks for making the time to chat.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So the news we're talking about today is the quiet reactivation of a contract between ICE and Paragon Solutions. What is Paragon Solutions?
Paragon Solutions is a cyber mercenary, specifically a spyware provider, that was originally founded in Israel, and now has a division which is owned by a U.S. company, a private equity company, that is also partnering with a U.S. cybersecurity company. They make a spyware called Graphite, which was used to target many people in Italian civil society, such as journalists and lawyers. This was reported on by Citizen Lab after the aforementioned targets received notifications of a government-sponsored hacking attempt from WhatsApp.
And how exactly, just to give us a better sense of what Graphite does and what it looks like, how exactly does it work?
Yeah, so first, Paragon has to exploit your phone with a 0-day attack. So this is an attack that is unknown to the makers of the software that they're attacking, either Apple or WhatsApp or whoever else is being attacked, right? It's called a 0-day because the theory is that the company has had 0 days in which to patch this vulnerability. In the case of the Italian civil society people that were hacked, it was a 0-day, 0-click attack, which means that it required no interaction or no clicks from the targets of the attack. So the way it worked is the victims were added to a group in WhatsApp without their control, and then a PDF was sent to their device. This PDF contained the 0-day exploit, which allowed Paragon to run arbitrary code on their device. From that point, Paragon was able to upload their Graphite malware, which lives in memory. It does not install itself on the phone in any sort of permanent way. It lives in memory and hooks into WhatsApp and other secure chat apps and gets a copy of all of the messages being sent and all of the messages that still exist, historically.
Right. So the intent of this software, you said it's used 0 days, it used a 0-click in at least one instance, is to basically give Paragon's users surreptitious access to the target's messaging systems. In one case, WhatsApp. Have there been other messaging platforms we know that Graphite's targeted?
There, Graphite seems to have hooks for many different messaging apps. So, WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal. Um, it- WhatsApp was the only one reported on by Citizen Lab when they did this research, but it seems to have hooks for many different messaging apps. And I think it's safe to assume that most messaging apps would be included, most popular messaging apps, let's say, would be included in this functionality.
So I mentioned the sort of news we're talking about is that a contract that ICE has had with Paragon, it was put on ice last year. It's been reactivated recently. From the contract, it doesn't exactly specify what ICE intends to use these services for, correct?
That's correct.
So basically what we know is that ICE has a $2 billion contract with a company that makes malware to secretly infect people's phones and read their private messages. What are some of the dangers of a contract like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the dangers are fairly self-explanatory, right? But to put a point on it, the danger is that now ICE could infect somebody's phone and read their messages and read them, and any messages that they're sending to anybody else, right? This essentially allows ICE to surreptitiously spy on high-value targets. Now, what do I mean by high-value targets? Well, this malware costs a lot of money, and it costs a lot of money for each infection. To develop a zero-click, zero-day attack costs millions of dollars. It costs Paragon millions of dollars to develop one of these attacks, and they don't want it to get discovered, right? If that attack does get discovered, that means they lose millions of dollars, right? So they charge, and each time you infect somebody with this attack, it increases the chances that the attack will be discovered. So Paragon charges a lot of money per infection to somebody like ICE, so that they can recoup their costs and be making a profit by the time the attack, hopefully, but for them, hopefully by the time the attack does get discovered. So ICE having to pay a lot of money for each infection is only going to use this against high value targets, right? And you can imagine some of those targets might be like lawyers who are working on a lot of different immigration cases, right? Journalists who are talking to a lot of people, a lot of undocumented people or people involved in the movement. Activists are people who are, kind of centers of the social graph for undocumented people, right? Who might have a lot of useful intelligence for ICE in their phone. And then what ICE gets out of this is the ability to spy on all their messages, right? As long as the phone is infected, to see all of the past messages that were sent, and to see any future messages that were sent.
So, given that, what steps can people take to protect themselves?
Yeah, so there's a few simple steps you can take to protect yourself. The two best steps, first and foremost, is to, if you're on iPhone, turn on lockdown mode. If you're on Android, turn on advanced protection mode. These modes make it much harder for a zero-day attack to work against your device. They block some of the most common methods of exploiting vulnerabilities. So this is the best thing you can do. As far as we know, no devices in lockdown mode have successfully been attacked. This might be because very few people use lockdown mode, but and so it's not worth developing against lockdown mode. But it definitely does make it a lot harder, right? You would have to spend a lot more money to attack somebody with lockdown mode, right? And the way this game always sort of works is that you have to be not economically worth attacking, right? So that is the best protection you can have. Another great thing to do is turn on disappearing messages, right? Especially in Signal or WhatsApp or whatever, if whatever other chat platform you use supports disappearing messages, turn them on. This means that if your device or somebody in your network does get infected, they won't get those messages that have already disappeared, right? It makes it a lot more just like whispering to each other. right, in a public place, which is really still the most secure form of communication. Um, but those are the top two pieces of advice we have.
Cool. And I guess just in general, where can our listeners learn more about precautions they can take with their digital security?
Yes, so as always, you can go to our surveillance self-defense guides at ssd.eff.org, and there you can learn a lot about how to protect yourself online from surveillance targeted like this or untargeted like the many other things we discuss, ALPRs, facial recognition, etc.
Great. Well, before you go, I just like to ask one sort of fun question. I'm wondering, can you give me? You must have been installing software in interesting places when you were young. Do you remember any sort of early installation?
Try to get me to confess to crimes on EFFector. Nice move, FBI. No, I think, well, one funny story is back when I was much younger, probably in like middle school or something. It wouldn't have been dishonest to call me a script kiddie, and I definitely did at one point install Back Orifice on my family's computer, which Back Orifice was a Trojan horse program developed by Cult of the Dead Cow to give you remote access to other people's computers. So the point was that you were supposed to install the Back Orifice client on a different computer and install the server on your computer, and then you could use that to remotely connect to other computers. I did not understand this, being the script kiddie that I was, so I just installed Back Orifice on my own computer and thought I could use it to hack. It turns out I could not, and definitely got my family's computer hacked because of this. So that was not a great choice on my part, but I did eventually learn a lot more.
Yeah, I was going to say a learning experience then.
Absolutely a learning experience.
Well, thanks so much again, Cooper, for taking the time to talk.
Thanks, Hudson.
And now, announcements. Christian, what opportunities to connect with EFF are coming up?
Yeah, on September 30th, we'll be hosting a global speakeasy for EFF members. This year's topic is titled You Are the Product. We'll be discussing the private companies who harvest, exploit, and sell your personal info, and how people around the world are fighting back. Current EFF members should be looking out for an invite to the event, but you can also reach out to us at events@EFF.org if you have any questions. And if you want to get access to that event, you got to become a member. You can become a member for as little as $25 by going to EFF.org/35years. And from October 27th through 29th, we'll be back at TechCrunch Disrupt in San Francisco. Be sure to find us in the Expo Hall, where you can stop by our booth and chat with our team about the latest in the fight for privacy and free expression online. Finally, legal internship applications are now open until November 1st for the spring 2026 intern class. Visit the opportunities page under the About section on EFF.org to learn more about how to apply.
Great. Well, thanks, Christian. That'll be it for this week's EFFector Audio Companion. Thanks, everyone, for listening in.